Hey guys, welcome back to another interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with an Ezreal supplementary guide. Now I say it's a supplementary guide, but really this could be a complete guide as well. Mainly because basically Ezreal has the exact same build, but it's about the rune, right? So I covered this extensively in my complete guide, which is Conqueror versus PTA. I'm going to cover it again later when we reach the gameplay. But let's start talking about the loadout. So I'm not gonna waste time discussing the items. I'll link up in the cards above right now the video on Ezreal's complete guide that I just did recently, and there I explain the items in depth, but basically it's the exact same build, right? Instead I'm gonna be talking about the runes. So here, instead of going for press the attack, I'm gonna be going for Conquer, which of course when you stack 6 times gives you bonus AD as well as Vamp. And then, of course, we go into Brutal, which procs on your Q as well, just for extra auto attack damage as well as Q damage. And then you have Giant Slayer to counter the tanks, and then Alacrity just so you attack faster, which Ezreal, contrary to popular belief, is actually really good at auto attacking as well. And then you have Bone Playing for the extra safety. For the spells, you have Flash together with whatever you need. So it could be Cleanse, it could be Barrier, it could be Exhaust. Those are basically your 3 main options depending on what you need, and if there's CC or Assassins on the enemy team, things like that. But with that out the way, let's jump into what is going to be a pretty long gameplay. Okay, so now let's look at our gameplay. Okay, so first thing I want to kind of clarify at the beginning of the game is, in this game I was having a little bit of connection issues, so I was lagging here and there. Like you can see out of base here, I'm just kind of a little bit late deploying onto the map. Nothing too big though, but there will be like 1 or 2 points in the game that I basically just stand still on the spot, and basically, like, you guys know how it is. Sometimes you have connection problems, whether you use Wi-Fi or data. Sometimes you just have those huge spikes of like 999 ms, and you just literally can't move, right? It can't really be helped, in my opinion. Things like that do happen. So jumping straight in here, we are playing, of course, Ezreal with a Rakan. And we are against a Jhin Seraphine. Now, Rakan is a pretty interesting support to play because Ezreal is not really a support-dependent champion. You can't really play with any support. He's one of those champions that can work with like anybody, right? Now I say anybody, but Ezreal doesn't really benefit from hardcore enchanters like Melio, Yuumi, and Lulu because he doesn't really need or want to be buffed. Like, he's not really a hyper carry. So for example, Ezreal with Yuumi is still a popular combo because basically Ezreal's a very safe laner, so he helps Yuumi get through the lane, and then Yuumi can go attached to like your Master Yi or your top laner and make them insane instead. But Ezreal doesn't really benefit a lot from a Yuumi, for example. Doesn't really want a Lulu, doesn't really want a Melio. So really, you want to play with either engagers or other enchanters. Like, so for example, Ezreal can be fine with things like Nami or Janna. Of course, with Janna, you don't really need Janna's peel so much as a hyper carry, but it's definitely better than playing with like a Lulu, for example. You don't really benefit a lot from Lulu just buffing you for the most part, right? As in, it's not that you don't benefit, but you don't benefit as much compared to other ADCs. Right, so I think with Rakan it's pretty nice because Rakan can land and engage for you, and then you can land your spells, which are of course all our skill shots. And Rakan, of course, is kind of the middle ground between an enchanter as well as an engager, although he's really more of an engager than an enchanter for the most part, right? So now let's talk a little bit about the runes, right? So as I covered in my complete guide, when you go for press the attack, or empowerment as it's called in Wild Rift, as your rune, basically you have a lot stronger early game. I partially regretted not going for that in this game because we do fight a lot in the early game, as you guys can see. Here I'm basically getting hit by everything. Rakan goes in as I go out. A little bit unfortunate, but I do trade back quite decently. And I am taking a bit of damage, waiting for the anti-heal to kind of drop off before I take the fruit, if I even do take it, because I think they probably have recalled, so I may not even need the fruit. I could just recall like this. Since they reset, I'm gonna match it. But yeah, so basically, as I said in my complete guide, I am a huge fan personally of press the attack, right? Because it gives you a lot of agency in lane, in a sense that you have a lot more damage, which means that in lane you can look for kills, you can look for good trades, and you basically have a lot more lane pressure. But the thing is about press the attack is it's still decent in the later stages of the game, like mid to late game team fights. It's still decent because the cooldown on press the attack is really not that long, so you can still proc it a lot in the mid to late game team fights. But of course the issue with that is it's very single target focus, so you have to be focusing the person that you promptly press the attack on, and in the first place you need to focus one person to even proc the press the attack on them in the first place. Whereas with Conqueror, it's just more beneficial in the mid to late game teamfights, as Rakan gets an insane engager, allowing me to get a 2-man ulti, but we see again coming in from Echo at the bottom of the river, like here he is, so I'm being very cautious not to overextend. Rakan though does overextend a little bit. Seraphine out whiffs. I'm just trying to get off my damage on whoever I can. Jin here, 1 HP, we get him. Now I'm just trying to run down the Seraphine, because Echo is like full HP, I'm probably not going to kill him. But he ends up tanking a lot of damage. I flash forward, try to kill... I was honestly trying to kill the Seraphine, not the Echo, because of course I knew Echo at all, but I was getting blocked by the minions, which of course is one of Ezreal's weaknesses. Now here Echo loses his mind, and here we barely don't finish the kill onto Echo. We're trying to get Seraphine, we barely don't get the kill on Seraphine. That's super duper unlucky. Of course, Rakan is also 1 HP, but unfortunately we get neither of them. I still think it was really well played by me and Rakan though. We basically were fighting, oh, and in comes Heimerdinger to try to kill us. Jin flashes forward, gets completely baited by the Rakan, does end up dying. Rakan does end up dying here, and both of them are kind of 1 HP. The issue here now is I have no mana, right? So I need my Morgana to come over and help me to finish off this Jin. I have maybe mana for 1 Q, maybe not even, but yeah, I basically am useless here. I really need to reset, because with 0 mana and 0 health, there's obviously nothing I can actually do here whatsoever. So here, I'm just going to clear up the minions and then just find a reset. Right, so really action-packed early game. So you can see that in these early game fights, if I had pressed the attack, then I probably would have killed the 2 1 HP targets of Seraphine and Echo. But with the Conqueror, of course, since it was a long drawn out fight, it really benefited me a lot as well, because I basically full stack my Conqueror. I get the extra VAP, I get the extra AD as well. So maybe who's to say that even with PTA, I may not even have gotten the kill there. I do believe so, but I don't know for sure. So yeah, PTA is a lot better in lane, Conqueror is a lot better in the mid late game, a lot less useful in lane, because in lane you're very unlikely to get into long fights. Now I say that as we've just gone out of a long fight where the Echo came to gank, and that fight basically lasted a full minute, with like later on the mid laners joining as well. But in general, in the mid game is where the long fights really happen, as Rakan goes in for an engage, Seraphine counter ults, I cleanse it away, and we kill Seraphine. Now Jin pops the barrier, we're running him down, he's 1 HP, Rakan finishes it off with the Q. Unfortunately, I'm not really securing too many kills right now, but 1, 0, and 3, still no deaths. Like, getting assists is way better than getting deaths, so I'm not going to complain too much as we start pelting the tower as well. So, as I was mentioning, in the mid to late game team fights, Conqueror is very much more helpful, particularly if they have a very solid front line. Now, in this game, there isn't really a very solid front line, no frontline tank, and the reason I say it's better, especially if they have a frontline tank, is because you can basically free stack the Conqueror onto the tank, and then for the rest of the fight, you're going to have a full stack Conqueror with the extra AD and the extra Vamp. Of course, against a full squishy team like this, or like, yeah, basically it's a full squishy team like this, right, it still works out very well, because once again, you're very likely to full stack a Conqueror in the mid to late game fight, and then you have the benefits for the rest of the fight. Here is the point where I basically lost connection, and I just stand still on the spot and do nothing. As you guys can see here, as Rakan is running for his life, I'm still trying to connect back to the game, and I finally do, and I have no idea at this point, of course, what had happened. I didn't know that Rakan had flashed and had nearly gotten caught out, because I was, of course, completely disconnected. So instead, I just recall and get my mana min, which I was trying to do before I disconnected anyway, and it was quite a number of seconds I was disconnected. But you know, it is what it is. As I said, there's really not a lot I can do about that. So now I'm getting back to lane. I'm going to ult the wave and the 2 enemy champions at the same time. Rakan going in with the engage onto Jin. He completes the kill onto the Jin. And this Rakan, by the way, is building like full AP with Electrocute. Something that I can't complain about, because when I play Rakan myself, I very often go for the full AP build. And it's very effective when you're ahead to like really one-shot people. You can see my Rakan is 2-1 and 2. He has very similar goal to me, more gold than the enemy Jin, and way more than the Seraphine for sure. So he is doing very well, and he is basically on track to basically one-shotting people here. Goes in on Seraphine, uses basically everything, but doesn't really have ult, so we can't really kill her. The enemy team is now overloading the bot lane, and here we're trying to maybe set a trap. Jin gets knocked up. I'm gonna ult him and finish the kill like that. He's only worth 150 gold at this point. He's not really worth a lot, unfortunately. So we maybe we definitely shouldn't be using any of our summoner spells on him. Like, we shouldn't be flashing on him, for example. But, you know, if we can get free kills on him like this, you know, why not? Kill's a kill. You know, you do still get a chunk of gold, right? So here, Echo is pushing in. Rakan takes the gate, so I can't really take the gate. I have to walk there like a chump. And now I'm just going to clear up the wave, because obviously Echo, he still has ult, and he has flash and everything. It's not very easy to kill him, and Rakan somehow forces his flash over the wall. If I was Echo there, I would not be flashing over the wall, because Rakan basically will use all his spells, combo him, and he should still survive easily with ult. Even without ult, I think he doesn't even die. But I think he panics a little bit and flashes the wall, but that's a win for my team, right? We get enemy Echo Flash, which is great. And here, I'm just trying to help out my team with a ult, see if I can hit anyone in the top lane there. Not quite. But in the meanwhile, I just push in, I'm going to farm the minions, and I could go for this tower here, but I know 3 people are in top, but I don't really know where the other two are. I expect them to defend the tower, but it looks like they totally did not defend the tower. I could have gotten that tower very easily, but you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. Of course, the greed does come out for myself here and there, but as far as possible, I try not to get baited too much by these kind of things. So there, I was just trying to be not greedy and not get myself caught up, especially 2-0 and 4 now. I don't really have a shutdown, but of course I am doing really, really well. Here I'm trying to snipe the Heimerdinger, who's on 1 HP. I run straight into Yone, who has basically the same goal as me right now, but I actually have an advantage against him because I'm an item up. So here Morgana comes down just to cut off his escape, and we're able to pick up the kill onto him. And yeah, now that he backs, he has shield bow. So very important that you check the scoreboard for items. Now here, even though we had the same goal at that point in time, I was on 2 items, and I say I shouldn't be flashing for the Jhin, but that's exactly what I do here for 125 gold. That was a horrible, horrible flash by me. He's not worth flashing for. And yeah, so yeah, I kind of did notice that in the game itself as we eviscerate the Heimerdinger. I didn't notice that in the game itself, but I kind of forgot I shouldn't be flashing for Jhin, and I saw 1 HP target, I flash, I get killed, and then I see 125 gold, I'm like, oh yeah, right, I shouldn't be flashing for the Jhin, he's worth nothing. So I guess you could say it's a little bit unfortunate there, but I literally already pointed out to you guys that I shouldn't be flashing for Jhin. I do it anyway, just on instinct. So yeah, a little bit of my bad there, right? But yeah, back to the original point. You should be looking at the scoreboard to kind of see, right? Because even though me and Yone had the same amount of gold in that fight, I had Triforce and Mirror Mana, but he had the components of Shield Bow, but only a Bork, right? So it was basically Bork and components versus 2 full items, and he didn't have the shield from Shield Bow, he only had the components, so you know, it was a pretty easy fight for me. I mean, I honestly could have fought him 1v1, but I decided to play safe, because obviously, you know, Yone is now pretty strong. After especially he got that buff in patch 6.1b. So now here, we were just seeing if we could maybe catch someone out. Rakan is trying to bait, but I don't think they're falling for that recall bait of Rakan. Like, me and Aatrox are hiding over the wall. Yeah, they're not falling for it. I mean, Seraphine fell for it, I guess. Like, she walks forward, and here I tried to get the kill on them, but Heimerdinger towers are putting in a shift here. They're really, really low, but now I'm in trouble here. Yone is running me down. Rakan is trying his best to save me, but Echo ends up finishing off the kill and getting the shutdown onto me. Now Rakan's 1 HP, he's running for the hills, and I'm not sure where my camera panning is at, but there we go. So here, let's take a look at what's going on here. We have the enemy team going all in on trying to kill my team. Morgana is running for her life on 1 HP. Mundo is taking a ton of damage, kills the Jhin, now is running away from the Yone. Echo is awkwardly over the wall trying to join the fight. Morgana is trying to zone them off as well. Mundo is trying to get a kill before he dies. Now, unfortunately, huge shield procs onto Echo from the W. Morgana is now getting run down by the enemy team, but the enemy team do give up the chase as Aatrox, myself, and Rakan have respawned and are running out of base to attempt to help our teammate. So now, with that fight pretty much over and done with, the enemy team should be resetting off of their 0 HP as Rakan steals all my farm. And I'm going to go mid lane and farm. I'm going to go bot lane and farm because I see a wave kind of accumulating there. And yeah, so if you're AP Rakan, you still shouldn't be stealing your teammates' farm unless there's no one near and you want to clear the wave. But this Rakan obviously has dreams of carrying the game himself. Unfortunately for him, our whole team is doing very well, with myself doing the best on the team, and you can see just in terms of goal, right, it's just looking very, very good. Only Echo on the enemy team as well as Yone is actually doing pretty decently in terms of gold as well, but the rest of the enemy team not doing too hot. My team in general is doing pretty well. It's a pretty even game overall. Right? You can see the goal difference between the two teams is only 1k at the moment. We're equal in towers. My team has 2 dragons over the enemy team, but it's a very, very even game. So here Jin is trying to push in. Now, honestly, I could go for the 1v1 against the Jin here. Jin has reset his bounty already with the 2 kills, but I'm not really sure if anyone's behind him. So here, Rakan goes in, and yeah, we basically just one-shot him with myself and Rakan's damage. Of course, both myself and Rakan are fed. Rakan with the electrocute as well, and a full burst build. And yeah, so you saw, I don't know if you guys saw, but if you rewind 5 seconds, you see me pinging Baron, because I realized that Jin is pushing, the whole enemy team is missing, and they're not stopping Aatrox from split pushing top lane. So that can only mean one thing, right? If they're not backing up the Jin, they're not stopping the Aatrox from pushing, and you can't see them on the map. It probably means they're sneaking a Baron, which is exactly what they did. So right as I ping it, they do secure it. So even if Rakan followed me, I don't think we could have really done anything. But at least I guess you could say, proud of myself for realizing they're doing a Baron, rather than the announcement comes up and then you go like, oh wait, they were doing Baron. So these kind of Baron sneaks are, of course, things that you want to look for in every game if you can. Like getting an uncontested Baron when the enemy team is distracted with something else. Like for us, it was killing that overextended Jin. You know, is always going to be a good thing, right? In sacrificing a feeding Jin for a Baron is great, right? I mean, I don't think Jin intentionally wanted to sacrifice himself, but he probably decided to just push and overextend without his team, and his team, realizing that he's going to be a very juicy bait, decides to then go for the Baron and take advantage of that overextending Jin's behavior, which will attract the enemy team to, of course, go for a free kill, right? Which is exactly what we did. So I've done that myself a lot. As we're getting into a huge team fight here, Echo is now coming in. I destroy him for a 900 gold shutdown, flash away from the Yone ulti. Yone taking a ton of damage now, dies to Morgana. Now here I was trying to snipe the 1 HP Seraphine, but I couldn't really find her at all. And now the final dragon is up, Infernal Dragon, and this will be Mountain Soul for my team. Honestly, Mountain Soul does not really matter very much at all. But you know, it's something that's nice to have, right? But I really don't think we need to really contest it with our jungler dead. To be fair, Echo is also dead, and so is Yone, which are the 2 most fed members of their team. So I don't really expect the enemy team to be going for it. And you can see 2 people in mid lane. So now we are gonna go for the soul while Morgana clears the wave. Of course, the enemy team do have the Baron, and yeah, ignore that W miss on a stationary dragon, by the way. Heimerdinger now over the wall trying to contest the dragon. Now, this should be an easy secure for my jungler. However, he smites like at 2k health more or less, which is insane, and I have to end up securing it instead. Now, Echo here gets chain CC, could not ult there, and just simply dies. Now, we are on the aggression now, and with the pick onto the Echo, once again the enemy team's most fed member dying back to back twice. I mean, honestly, now Heimerdinger and Yone are catching up. Even Jin is catching up to him at this point. So Echo is kind of copping a couple of unnecessary deaths by playing a little bit too aggressively. I mean, it's a very common Echo mistake, right? You think you have ult and you can just run at the enemy team because you can always ult out, only to realize you get rooted by Morgana and you can ult, or you get knocked out by Rakan, get chain CC'd and you can ult. So he's basically done that mistake twice now, which honestly I don't really blame him. Like, it's very, very common for that to happen. But at this point, I have stasis. I am at 4 full completed items. I am the most fed member in the game, and I'm in prime position to carry. Once again, I miss a stationary wolf with my Q. Really, really bad there. Now here's where the game gets interesting, right? It's 2 seconds to Baron, 40 seconds to Elder, and something is going to happen here, right? All the objectives are coming up. I'm on the wrong side of the map. Mundo is on the wrong side of the map. Yone is trying to make his way to Baron. Enemy team is obviously doing Baron. Mundo is completely out of position. This is horrible macro from my jungler. Now, enemy team gets Baron, but now the question is, will we get the fight, right? So I'm ulting down. I get a lot of damage onto the enemy champions. We're trying to chase them for the fight because they basically used all their spells already, right? So now here we're going onto Yone, a very valuable target. Yone gets taken down by me. Now here, Jin and Heimerdinger are now in a very awkward position where we're between them and their base. So here I'm just gonna run down the Jhin. Jhin actually has caught up quite a bit since the early game, and he's actually doing a decent amount of damage, but we're still gonna be able to take him out. So here I was thinking I can recall and get rid of Heimerdinger, but then Heimerdinger of course has to run to safety, which is towards this direction. So instead I'm going to cut off his escape like this and take him out. So now the enemy team has gotten Baron, but they have all died with the exception of Seraphine. Now this means that even though they got the Baron, they can't push with it, and Elder is up. So this means that it should, in theory, be a free Elder for my team, and Morgana can spawn and clear the waves, because at this point Morgana has a ton of damage and has really good wave clear already. So Morgana can simply just go for the wave clear. And now Echo is here to contest. I go over the wall and basically go on top of the Echo. We don't want Echo anywhere near this pit with this trash Mundo smiting. Like, he's smiting nowhere even closer. He's smiting at 2k every time. Like, it's a minor miracle that we're not losing the Elder here. I mean, it's not a miracle, right? Because really it's me and Rakan playing our role and zoning the Echo off, knowing that we have a trash smiter, right? This Mundo cannot smite for his life. So we very easily have lost that Elder Dragon. So we had to do what we had to do. We had to jump over, go onto the Echo, and make sure he cannot enter the pit. Because if he gets anywhere near the pit, we are losing that Elder, no questions asked, right? This Mundo cannot smite whatsoever. So I guess sometimes when you do have a jungler who can smite, you do have to make some weird plays and compensate for the fact he can't smite. Because really, we all know if we lose the Elder, it's very likely we lose the game, right? Because enemy team with Baron and Elder, they can just push down the lane and then end the game. Right, so here, my team is fighting in the enemy jungle instead of clearing the minions, and they are kind of dying, but at the same time, they are also kind of getting kills. Now here, I'm not going to waste time joining them in the fight. The enemy Baron has fallen off, and now we have Elder, so now it's our turn to play. Now we have the advantage. We're going to be using the Elder buff, leverage it, and push in. If they try to stop us, we kill them. And yeah, you can see my team is pushing in mid, and while they're getting that mid lane pressure, I am going to push in the bot lane. You can see Jhin and Yone are both coming for me, and yeah, it's no real big deal. I have Elder. Yone is trying to 1v1 me, but yeah, I have Elder, so that's not gonna happen. Honestly, if I didn't have Elder, I think he probably can kill me, because at this point it's Yone with a ton of items. Jhin here goes for the ult, kills me, and this is where I was pretty frustrated with myself, right? I had Cleanse, I had Flash, I had Stasis, but I was just way too greedy, right? I was thinking that I can just E out. So I got hit by the first shot while on recall. I tried to walk close enough to the edge to E out of the ulti, which I was in range, but when I proc my E doesn't activate instantly. It takes about half a second to actually activate, right? So in that half second, before my E went off, Jhin is able to snipe me out with the second shot and kill me, right? If I had literally used any of my 3 safety tools, I would have been fine, right? Like, if I had stasis there, I would have been fine. If I cleanse and eat out, I would have been fine. If I flashed out, I would have been fine. But I used none of my safety tools, and instead I just let myself die, right? Basically I screw up, I let myself die at a pretty critical moment of the game. So these are the kind of game losing mistakes that could happen. Now thankfully, despite that death, my team is still at an advantage, and now they are doing the Baron. Enemy team does not look like they are going to contest just yet. And by the way, guys, I want to point out my last item option, right? So here in this game, I actually went for Terminus, right? And the reason why I went for Terminus instead of Seraldas or more reminders, in this game, I realized we're getting into very, very long fights, which is, turns out in the end, it's very insane for Conqueror, for example, as I cleanse out of the Yone, and Yone ends up surviving on 1 HP. Huge ult into the choke point does a ton of damage to the enemy team, but my whole team is dying, and I was like, oh no. Like, we have a 1 HP Rakan and Aatrox, they can't fight anymore. I'm full HP, but I'm not gonna 1v5, right? So I'm gonna have to run away. And now 2 members of my team are dead. Now the only good thing about the situation is neither Baron nor Elder is up, right? So here the enemy team is running into our jungle. Aatrox and Rakan are getting into position. Rakan tries to go in, misses completely. And here I'm joining the fight. I need to ult, snipe out the Jhin. Jhin goes down, and now we're chasing kills. Heimerdinger 1 HP, we auto him for the kill. Yone is trying to push in the mid lane in the meanwhile, and thankfully the enemy team screw up and 3 of them die. Now this is a very, very close game, as you guys can clearly see. It's just mayhem everywhere, right? So yeah, I really think Terminus is the best last item option, because we don't really need anti-heal, right? Because we have Morgana and Mundo applying anti-heal already, so we don't need more reminder. Seralda's Grudge is useful for kiting, but you can't really kite champions like Yone or Echo, because they have dashes to get on top of you, and you can't really kite like Heimerdinger or Seraphine or Jhin because they don't really want to run you down anyway, right? Heimerdinger does not want to run at you, so this is basically the best option as me and Rakan go for the one-shot combo again. Like you can see V2 being so fed, like Rakan's full build as well pretty much. Like we can just basically choose a target, we both go onto that person and that person dies. Now here we are trying to end the game. At least I'm trying to end the game. I don't know if my team is trying to necessarily end the game. You can see I'm focusing not the champions, but the towers. Now, of course, Yone goes on me. I'm going to focus him. Rakan with a huge engage here. I'm again hitting the tower. Every opportunity I get, I'm weaving in and out, attacking the tower. There we go. We end the game before disaster occurs. You never know when something's going to go wrong. You get wiped at the base, and you could have just hit the Nexus at the end of the game. But sometimes people play for kills and lose themselves the game. But with that, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.